Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It's Geoff Mosher and Adam Caplan here to recap a crazy Eagles loss. I mean, a neck and neck, back and forth, really good game. A well-contested game, but nonetheless a 33-26 loss in the desert to the Arizona Cardinals. Look, I don't know what the reaction from the fan base will be, Adam, because now the whole control your destiny is not in their hands. And I don't know if fans still had like this big playoff push going on or if it was more about the change in quarterback. But if it's just about the change in quarterback, you have to be really, really pleased and encouraged with what you saw from Jalen Hurts in that game.
No doubt. It was an amazing performance. And, it's interesting. I picked the Eagles to lose, 33-24, they lost 33-26. Well, the way the game started, I'm like, oh, my God, I got this one wrong. And they give up the safety. Hurts does not look good early on. He looks jittery. He doesn't look like he's ready. I'm like, man, well, this doesn't look very good. Then he slowly got comfortable. They protected him pretty well, by the way. Don't let the 6 sacks fool you. It was not that type of game. They actually protected him really well. He took some sacks late because he didn't see the field great in the fourth quarter late because he just went into the rugby scrum and needed to make sure that he had more space, but that's okay. He had a very good game. So poised out there. Again, does not throw it to the other team. Can't tell you how important that is. He has 1 turnover in 2 games, which is the fumble against New Orleans, but made some big-time throws. Patrick Peterson had at least 4 penalties. He could have had more. I said on our pregame show, folks, this defense is beatable in the Cardinals. They've had games where they simply get housed. They give up a lot of yardage some games. They're so aggressive, they get you. This is a game where if you protect, the plays are there, and the Eagles had plays. That's why I thought the Eagles could score pretty well in this game. They did. I'm sure that they'll say that they left some plays on the field. They certainly did. But they moved the ball really, really well. You got to be happy with the way that Jalen Hurts played. It was fantastic. As I said in the game, pregame, Greg Cosell and I completely agreed. I thought Hurts would probably put the ball up 40 times. He put it up 44 times. Obviously, game flow and what's called passing tempo had to be higher because of them being behind. It's exactly the way I said the game would play out, literally to a T. It's just at the start of the game was bizarre to me. I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on here. And then you always ask about the aerial view. Clearly, I said it 2 weeks ago. Jalen Hurts will be the starter the rest of the season. That's never been in doubt. They have to evaluate him. We'll as the weeks pass by. They're not eliminated yet. The Eagles are still – they need to win both. Obviously, they play Washington in Week 17. They need Washington to lose this coming week, and they need to win. Then it sets up Week 17, I think. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's still that's still the situation. But – look,
I don't remember who Washington has next week. We know the Eagles will play Dallas, correct? And then Washington.
Yes, the Eagles play at Dallas, and then Washington in week numero 16.
Not the Giants because they've already played the Giants.
They play the Washington team. I have this. Oh God, they got to win. They play at home against the Panthers.
Well, I mean, the Panthers have put up fights. They gave Green Bay a nice little fight.
They held Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I was shocked at how well they played defense against Rodgers. He was actually frustrated in that game. But getting back to this Eagles game, you had to be proud, and I think you set up really well. Knockdown, drag out fight. You also thought it was going to be a high scoring game. We were all right. I just didn't think the Eagles could win shorthanded. As you know, Hopkins was my player of the game going in. And he sure as heck is my player of the game coming out. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It was simply incredible.
Yeah. From my aerial view, Adam, I've been doing this a lot for the last, I guess, game or two, is trying to project what I might be thinking if I were Jeffrey Lurie, right? And we said last week that if you're the kind of person that is seeing what's going on now as a Doug versus Carson thing where you feel like one guy's more responsible than the other. You and I, we've pointed out the flaws in both, but if there are a lot of people who are on one side or the other here, and after 2 rounds, Doug looks a lot better out of this than Carson because the offense has certainly looked a lot different. And yes, it's because the quarterback is playing well, but we're not criticizing every single play call and every route concept and saying, where's this, where's that, where's this, where that. We're seeing this and that because it's been able to be executed on the field.
Sure. Look, we only have 2 games, and this one was the game where we came in thinking this is the game where we're going to see how he handles having to throw the ball a lot. The first game, he was poised, but he didn't have to throw the ball a lot. Wasn't spectacular. He just executed the game plan like he was supposed to. Let's see what happens when he actually has to throw the ball a lot. That's when you start getting a true test against a very aggressive defense. Because if you protect, they give up yards, man. They give. I've probably seen that Seattle-Arizona game, the first game, probably 3 times. One of the best games I've ever seen. They are so aggressive, but they give up so many plays over the middle. Alshon Jeffrey, great effort in that game. I know he labors out there. He's herky-jerky. What's that?
He got the job done, though.
He did.
Proving me wrong.
Oh, he got it. And the first touchdown to Quez Watkins, what a spin move he put on.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. But so my aerial view before we move forward here is that this is a tremendous effort. Never, as I said last week after the New Orleans game, do not question the effort, of the players, and don't ever question whether they play hard for this head coach. I've got my issues with Peterson. I've made it very clear this season he's not done a good job of managing the offense and the quarterbacks. But as you said, how could you criticize him now the way that he's handled Jalen Hurts? And obviously everyone who's involved, whether it's Press Taylor, Marty Morningweg, or Rich Scangarello, they're doing a great job of getting him prepared.
Good old December Doug is back again.
But not winning, unfortunately. Yeah.
This time he didn't win. December Doug and backup quarterback Doug are at it again. You're right, though. It is a loss, and I do think that there will be a segment of the fan base that will be excited about the Jalen Hurts win. I mean, the Jalen Hurts performance, but disappointed in the loss and probably go through some of the things like they'll point out how bad special teams was, and it was really
awful.
Dreadful in the worst time. And in fact, I had spoken to a team source, about an hour after the game, and he said, you know what, special teams was a disaster, and we obviously didn't have an answer for DeAndre Hopkins, but other than that, he said, pretty evenly matched teams right there. I mean, going at it. And he's right. The difference was special teams being a disaster and DeAndre Hopkins making some plays. They're wide receivers in general, but especially DeAndre Hopkins.
I'll be honest with you. Had they had Slay and Maddox, I would have picked the Eagles to win this game because they're better. They're to me, Eagles defense at full house is clearly better than I don't think it's even close.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
They're so shorthanded. They're running all these guys out there that shouldn't have been playing. They went with 5 DB. I'll tell you what, I'll give Schwartz credit. He mixed it up, but he was playing, seemed to be a lot of zone.
Yes.
And they gave up a lot of room, which, the goal is obviously not to give up the big play. Unfortunately, you don't look at Hopkins. He's never been a true deep threat. That's really not his game. But they did. They gave up plays to him. He's a phenomenal football player, by the way. He's just if you've never seen him before, folks, this guy's unreal.
I mean, the go-ahead touchdown was DeAndre Hopkins in a nutshell. He squeezed that ball so hard while he was still running and caught it, came down with it, and that's everything that DeAndre Hopkins is. And if I can be fair, everything the Eagles kind of lack in wide receiver. They've got, Fulgham has shown you the ability to go get it. Everybody else they've brought in, the Ragers and the Hightowers and the Watkins, are more speedy guys. But, to have a guy who's as big and tall and lengthy and physical as Hopkins and can make catches like that. And unfortunately for the Eagles, they've seen this 3 weeks in a row. For, Hopkins, and then before that, Hopkins, Michael Thomas, and before that, Devontae Adams. It's kind of a painful reminder of the type of wide receiver that they don't have, really.
Yeah, Hopkins is not big. He wins. He's
over 6 feet, is he not?
Right, but he's not big. He's not like thick. He just wins.
No, I know. I just meant I should have said tall, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not big at all. He just wins. He's strong as hell. He's smart. Right. He's tough. And that's a great point you make, because this is what when you evaluate an offense, you always look at who do you have who can win. Okay, when Zach Ertz was special, he would win every single game. He's not the same player. Dallas Goedert's starting to become that guy. He's starting to become super dependable. Boy, he made some amazing plays in this game.
He did.
And now Rager is strong as hell from like he's short, but he's strong physically, muscular.
Right.
Maybe over the next couple of years, he builds himself up a little bit. He obviously becomes a better route runner. He starts winning more, and maybe he can become that dependable guy. But it's a really good point you make. I just don't think they have that guy right now with Ertz not being the same player.
No doubt about it. All right, we will get into this game. We'll break it apart, offense, defense, and give our minute of the game. At first, we'll stop and talk about our friends at PHLSportsNation.com, covering all of the Philadelphia sports teams like nobody else. The Phillies, the Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, the Union. They are enhancing the fan experience with their great content. So check them out, phlsportsnation.com. Look for him on Twitter at phlsportsnation. And we'll pause real quick for a word from our other great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the offense, Adam, because this is probably their best offensive output since the Ravens and Steelers back-to-back games where they were up there 28 and 29 points. You brought up this point earlier in this pod, and we talked about it not only in the pregame podcast but also the Sunday pregame show, and you hit it on the head. What we wanted to see and what we thought we were going to see regardless was more throwing, because we figured in order to match point for point with this Cardinals offense that Jalen was going to throw the ball. And so what stood out to me, Adam, is that he was, for a guy who made very few downfield throws in his first start against the Saints, he was a and
they took shots.
He was a quarterback. Like, he wasn't a running quarterback. He could run. Yeah, he was just what you see out of the league today, a very athletic, mobile quarterback, but who really looked to put the ball down the field.
Yeah, and he's not fast. He's a decisive downhill runner with really good vision. I don't want to say he had heavy legs in this game. I think he might have gotten tired in the second half. I didn't think
he had 13 possessions, right? I mean, they were on the –
Wow, is that how many? Yeah. I don't think he moved as well, but he is tough. I love, for the most part, he maintained his downfield focus, which is really important. Yes. They took shots downfield. The guys balled out for him. They tried hard. Sanders got the ball more in the run game, but only got it once, and the 26-yard play was really nice, but he never got it again.
Yeah,
that's again, the coaches have to do a better job. There were some plays where maybe the ball wasn't supposed to be in the spot. It wasn't in the spot it was supposed to be. I think it's just a timing issue because Hurts is new to these pass targets, but overall, he hung in there. I thought that, as I said, Jeffrey made an effort. Hurts had the huge play, and how about Hurts and Warden, and the guy on Fox. So Keith Tlaib was obviously the color analyst. People were complaining about him on Twitter. I liked it more than other people.
I actually watched it on very low or mute because I just like to have my own thoughts, and
I got you.
Unless it's like the A team, but I just was not interested. So
I got you. All right, I got you, but. I just think overall, my aerial view of the offense was I was superiorly encouraged. I was like, okay, this is, as you were saying, this is the way it should look when you're throwing because you're processing well enough. It certainly wasn't perfect. It never is. They'll watch the tape later today. It's Monday morning. You're going to find, as they did the first game, and believe me, they found stuff they could do better from the New Orleans game, and he had to throw the ball 14 times more than the last game. And several big plays. Again, I don't have any problems with most of the sacks. The offensive line gave him plenty of time to throw. And you got to feel good about the offense going to the Dallas game. They play Dallas on Sunday. Dallas has a bad defense. They should be able to move the ball and continue to get Hurts some confidence.
You know what? That's you're right. But there's something about the way Dallas has been playing the last few weeks. Very uneven. I mean, they obviously – they beat San Francisco, which was, I thought, a pretty interesting win for them. They scored points. They don't seem to be giving up the chunk play as much as they are letting teams kind of walk down the field on them. But I think it's going to be actually a fascinating game. I don't think it's going to be easy for either team. So we'll obviously get into that. But the point I wanted to make on all the downfield throwing is also that he threw the ball 44 times, 0 interceptions.
Yep.
There was one pass that was almost picked off, and
over the middle.
Someone said to me on Twitter, not even to me on Twitter. I didn't tweet anything. They just happened to say to me, "Why don't people say anything about these near pick sixes as they would with Carson?" And I think that was just an unfair question. This kid's making his first start on the road. Every quarterback. I was watching Tom Brady a couple weeks ago, almost throw a few pick sixes. The point when you're making 10 times as many good plays as bad plays, then the pick sixes happen, but they don't get the same type of scrutiny as when you're mired in a 6-7 game slump and you're throwing a lot of those either interceptions or almost pick sixes. It's not even fair to talk about it in the same context. So I thought for him to throw the ball 44 times and have very few passes that you were like, no. I mean, he had far better passes. And to be honest with you, and this is not his fault, but if Dallas Goedert had amazingly corralled that, not the Hail Mary one, on
Yes.
the drive before. If he had caught that, holy cow, what a win that probably would have been for the Eagles. I mean, that we would be talking about this one for a long, long time.
Sure. I think when he struggled, he rushed himself. There were some passes where the ball sailed or just was not accurate. He just needed to slow down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He rushed himself a little bit, but that was the one thing from a negative standpoint that I caught. But other than that, man, I was 20 incompletions. I mean, he threw the ball 44 times. I mean, there was just some timing stuff because he's new to these players. It's just the more he plays, he'll start the final 2 games, the better he'll get. I mean, as you said, many times the expectation is when you're brought up in a football family is you work hard, you listen to your coaches, and you process, and he'll get better. Again, offensively, before we get to defense, so much. And Fulgham, by the way, also came in late. He had one big catch that made had the game continue, or the game would have been over. But you got to feel pretty encouraged with the offense, and it certainly will get better as Hurts gets more work with these guys.
Last thing on Hurts, Adam, he's got 5 touchdown passes now. Do you know that every single one of them has come on either 3rd or 4th down?
Wow, is that right? Holy smokes.
Pretty impressive.
Wow.
I mean,
I didn't know that. Wow.
It almost defies logic a little bit because in general, over the last 2 games, they have not been great on 3rd down. They were I want to see what they were on 3rd down. I can't find it. I had it up a minute ago. They were 6 of 18. 33%. Not great.
Not very good. Yeah.
And then they were kind of in that same vicinity against the Saints. So overall, not great. But when he's making his big plays, they are happening in clutch moments as well.
Exactly.
That's usually when the defense is coming after you. So
yeah, it's interesting that the play-by-play guy said that I guess when he talked to Hurts, he talked about his work with Ward. Because remember, Ward's technically a backup, and Hurts was in training camp, so they got to know each other and they've developed this chemistry. And it's been pretty impressive. Both plays in the red zone. Boy, Greg Ward, he's never going to outrun anybody. All the guy does is get open. That's a heck of a find for the Eagles. It should have taken them how many times? Well, I don't know how many times they cut the guy over 3 years.
Yeah,
but it should never have happened as many times. That was a mistake, obviously.
Right.
They're very lucky that they still have him. He's been a great story of development. Goddard got the ball late. He should have been more of a factor early, but I have to ask. It seemed to me he was blocking a lot, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, because the Cardinals threw a lot of 6 and 7 man rushes.
Yeah, and they got that speed package, man. They're relentless with their. But that's the thing about Hurts was so impressive. He didn't turn it over.
That's right.
It's very impressive with all that going on. He didn't.
Yeah, I mean, the only knock on him was really early was the intentional grounding, but
he did have 3 fumbles, but.
That's true. Yeah.
But
how about picking up the fumble and throwing to the sideline and hitting your that was incredible.
Unbelievable play to have the presence of mind. Remember when I said maintaining his downfield focus? He did a much better job of that this game.
Absolutely.
Very little to criticize, man. We had Greg Cosell on our pregame show. You could hear it. You could actually hear it and watch it. You can watch it on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Greg was pretty strong with his praise. And he and I agreed it's going to be fascinating to see what happens when they're behind and when they got to throw a lot, the volume. How does he handle the volume? And, boy, did he handle it well. He really did. Yeah,
certainly passed all the tests. And maybe a couple of plays for Pryor, I think that we expected that he would that he would get beat on. I think Kelsey's snap – no, Lovato snap. That's the special teams. I'm sorry. I was going to say the snap was not great on when Zach Ertz had to be the holder. Nope. So I know it looked like it was on Ertz, but that might have been on Lovato. Again, special teams was a disaster.
Real bad.
But, yeah, I do look forward to seeing the All-22 copy to really get a better idea of how the offensive line played. But the run, Sanders didn't have explosive runs, but he certainly was able to move forward. He didn't get stopped.
Yeah, it was a grind it out game. He just didn't have – his longest run was 10. He did the big pass play, but –
Right. That's what I wanted to mention, though, Adam. Though, and I don't even need the All-22 because you could see in the TV copy, the Cardinals clearly had 7, 8 in the box sometimes. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were daring Jalen Hurts to throw the ball, and he did, and he did well. But if you'll look, you'll see. I mean, if you want to know why the running game wasn't great, there were a lot of Cardinals in that box.
The crowd of the middle. Yeah, it sure seemed like that. But I'm interested to see how they because they did. I wasn't charting it, but they still did plenty of pre-snap motion.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what other wrinkles. They did ghost motion orbit. They got Golden on one play where I can't remember exactly what happened. I know that he was the force player. Maybe he didn't get it, but for the most part, I don't think they fell for much. Like New Orleans just made too many mental errors, which is surprising. They're really smart defense.
Right.
What happened here was the blocking for the most part was so good. He had time to survey, and you saw guys make plays for him, and that's all. They got open. They got open a lot in that game.
By the way, are we to make something? I want to move on from the offense, but
Yeah.
I do want to ask this, and I think we're going to be talking about this over the next 2 weeks because it's happening kind of subtly and not getting a lot of attention. But I feel like we're witnessing a change of the number one tight end. Zach Ertz has been back for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not as healthy as we think, or he's still kind of getting his
it changed.
back,
There's no question it changed.
But I don't know. So you're saying yes. There's no question.
Goddard's clearly the number. Yeah, it's not even debatable. Yeah, because if you look at the way that Goddard's being used, he's always going to get more snaps because he's from now on because he's got a block. He's a much better blocker than Zach. Although Zach had some good blocks last week.
Yeah, actually did. Yeah.
He is their guy of the future. He did an incredible job of coming back from his ankle fracture, and he's a heck of a football player. I mean, he really is. And look, Zach had a couple big plays. I mean, really, both were impactful. One was a major play for 42 yards. He was wide open. The Cardinals had so many breakdowns in their secondary that this has been the epitome of the Cardinals. They're so feast or famine defensively. If you block well against them, you can make play after play after play if your quarterback's accurate. Your guys get open and run the correct routes. And boy, they did in this game. Honestly, this may sound ridiculous. They probably should have had 40 points in this game. They were there, man. I mean, 26 is damn good, but they did have 20 in the first half. That's the problem. They only had 6 in the second half.
Right. Although, remember, the Eagles spotted him 2 on a safety and then spotted him really 7 more when they had the punt blocked and then gave the Arizona the ball at the 8. After that, I thought the Eagles defense really managed to hold its own, and that's a good segue to now break down the defense. First, let me tell you to download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use that promo code ITB to get all your sign-up bonuses. That is code ITB to get all of your sign-up bonuses on the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app. All right, let's get into this defense, Adam. I just mentioned, they 16-0 early. It looked bad. But then you kind of realize, they got some points on the safety from the grounding, and then they got spotted a few on the punt block. There was a span there from the second to the third and early in the fourth where the defense was doing a good job of getting pressure. Now, obviously, the interception on Murray in the end zone, that was probably more bad Murray than good Eagles defense.
That thing looked like it was a waffle iron.
I think he was throwing a Hopkins, but Hopkins looked like he was a good 3 yards away.
I don't know what happened there, man. I have no idea.
But it landed in Epps' hands. So that they had 3 turnovers.
Yes, yeah. The Eagles are not a big turnover team. That's the one big disappointment. But Alex Singleton's all over it, man. They, for the most part, they tackled extremely well. They did a great. Here's the reason why the game was close. Okay, where they were down 16-0. The reason why they were able to come back, they did not let Kyler Murray beat them with his feet. I know he scored a touchdown right up the middle, but I'm talking about the back-breaking runs. The Russell Wilson, when you think you got him and he breaks your back with a run to get a first down and he just demoralizes, he didn't have those runs. That helped them. Singleton's been an unbelievable find. He had the fumble recovery, 1 tackle for loss, 11 total tackles. He was terrific. What an amazing – he is a starting linebacker, man. I've kind of changed my mind on him where I'd say, he's our 4th linebacker on a great football team. No,
he can play.
Yeah, he could play, exactly. I agree with you.
We knew that in training camp. We knew he could play in training camp.
And why the hell was this even an issue, whether he's going to make the football team? That's another thing.
I don't know if
it's Ken Flagel's fault. I think you and I had the same information where it was going down to the wire whether he was going to make it. Now, they may disagree, but our people, what we've heard, it was close.
He was on the fringe, man.
It's ridiculous. How is that even possible?
Well, and then listen, we don't want to relitigate the first 6 weeks of the season because there were plenty of darts to throw and we landed them all, and so did the fans. But you mentioned Gary, right, playing. Do you think maybe 1 or 2 of those games might have been different if Nate Gary's not in and Alex Singleton is? If they had started off with a Singleton Edwards or a Singleton Riley type of nickel package. I don't know, but
well,
man,
the defense would have been better, but
yeah,
the problem is because of the turnovers on offense, it still was, they're still going to lose most likely. But
yeah, that's true.
Would the defense been better? Absolutely.
How about that Steelers game? Is that a winnable game if it's not Nate Gary against Chase Claypool?
Might have been, but
who knows?
Here's what Ken Flagell's learned: stop having favorites. Why don't you just evaluate the players by their performance and make a decision off of that?
Yeah,
that's my one criticism. We don't talk about him very much, but look, we had the L.J. Fort situation, which was a terrible decision a year ago.
Right.
I understand why they did it in the end, but it's still faulty reasoning. The guy's a good football player. But overall, the defense did some good things here. Don't let the score fool you. When you're they went dime and nickel basically the entire game. I don't know how much, unless it was short yards, they weren't going to base.
Right.
Roby Coleman, they had him moving. They moved the corners and safeties around a lot.
Yeah,
which is what we expected. The kid Seymour got hurt in the game, so they had some injuries in the game, which is typical, but we'll find out more as the week progresses. But I think Jim Schwartz has got to feel, I'm sure he's disappointed they lost, but they learned a lot. They learned that yes, these guys who shouldn't probably be on the field, showed that they can be on the field because they actually helped the team in the end. They did the best job they can under unbelievably difficult circumstances for the players that they are, which is below average. Well, they play like they showed that they could play in the league and be good backups once the starters come back, but they have what they have.
And shout out to Jim for mixing a lot of one shell and two shell defenses, single safety and two safety back, because there was a time where I thought playing two safeties deep was against his religion or something, but for the last 2 weeks, he has recognized the need to be able to do that. You can't do it all the time, right? Because you could see. I mean, Murray had 400 passing yards. There were times where they were playing two deep safety coverages, and Murray would just pick them apart over the middle with your boy Christian Kirk there, or even the tight end Dan Arnold. And then there were times when he was in his traditional one safety, cover one, cover three look, that he would go after the seams and go after the sidelines with Hopkins. So he was successful, Murray, but there were also times where he was confused and holding onto the ball and running. Mm-hmm. And I do attribute that to Jim kind of mixing up his looks. I thought it was a good idea.
He did. That's what I was talking about before. He definitely mixed the looks up.
Yeah.
So that was encouraging.
And Michael Jacquet, I think we got to give this guy credit. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Michael Jacquet, I'm sure he took he was on the wrong side of some completions. Yeah. But do you remember a play where he was beaten by 10 yards? Over the top? I mean,
no,
I feel like he played physically.
Who are the two corners? I don't know how Hopkins had it. The deep middle pass.
Mm-hmm.
41 had his hand.
Yeah, he caught that, but that's when Seymour got hurt.
Right. Okay, it was Seymour. Right. He was 40. I think he was 41.
41, and the safety on that, I think, was Epps. So I think it was right between those two.
I mean,
guys.
they're there. They got to make the play, but Hopkins is so great.
Yes. That was a pretty good catch.
Well, I'm sorry?
That was a pretty good catch, though. I mean,
it was pretty good. It was unbelievable. No, but what you make a great point, because I thought for sure that Christian Kirk would be the deep threat, because he was earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see the tape yet, so I maybe they tried, but it didn't happen. And they had in Isabella inactive because Fitzgerald was back off the COVID list. So I understand that, but overall, it's funny. You say 400 yards. How could you say they played well? I didn't say they played well, but they hung in there.
Right.
And they made enough plays that despite all the issues they had on defense with injuries and missed assignments, because guys sometimes there were communication errors, they made some plays when they had to give the offense the chance to win the game for them or tie it up, and that's what happened.
Right. You had to have low expectations. You had to know that you were going to get beat by Hopkins a few times and he was going to have a big game. You didn't have a second and a third receiver have enormous games against them, so that's a testament to them. And they did make Hopkins work for some of those amazing catches that he made. And for Michael Jacquet to be an undrafted rookie and have to play that much and man the outside. And you brought this up when they first brought him up. He's got some nice size to him, which is something that the Eagles don't have really at cornerback. And he, when they do get a guy with size like Rasul Douglas, he can't run. But in this case, Jacquet seems like he can run a little bit. So I think that there's something there with him. I'm not saying he's going to be the starting corner next to Slay next year, but we said going into the year that this team was really deficient at depth at outside corner. And certainly I think Jacquet has earned himself in camp a chance to compete for that third cornerback job or fourth, or depending on what they do. He looks like he's somebody that you can try to groom and develop.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. They certainly found something in him. Marcus Epps, I remember talking to the Eagles at the trade deadline, and the reason why they made Parks available, by the way, he's playing a lot for the Broncos a lot. He gets,
yes.
It's comical. But getting back to Epps, they really wanted to take a look at Epps. Schwartz really likes him.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Seymour. Wallace, Kayvon Wallace, excuse me.
Kayvon Wallace, right.
Yeah, so that was their goal, and they were able to do it. And we'll see what they do the final 2 games. It's almost certain that they won't get in the playoffs. But there's been some good stories on defense. There's no. By the way, Jannard Avery played in this game. I hadn't heard his name in about 2 months. But
what?
He played in this game.
I did not notice that. Wow.
Actually, yeah, he had a tackle for a loss, as a matter of fact.
Oh, that's pretty good. Nice to see Jannard Avery back in the old box score. And by the way, I could have bet money. I would have been a millionaire that even though he's not the same as he used to be, that Larry Fitzgerald was going to have a touchdown in this game because it's the Eagles on the other side of the field. It's just amazing.
He owns
that guy.
Owns them.
He's going to be 55. He's going to be dead someday and still catching touchdowns against the Eagles.
What's funny, John Hanson and I on our fantasy show, we made fun of him. We loved Larry, but we called him the tight end because he runs tight end routes because he can't run anymore. Everything's inside.
Yeah. And
once you know it, 3 for 35, 11.7 per catch, and he had the touchdown. I mean, he's been an amazing guy. The guy's just remarkable. And I told you, Dan Arnold, 85, vertical tight end. He got them 3 times. I mean, that was his route. He's so skinny out there. He looked funny. But look, the good thing that Eagle fans have to look at is this: their heart was on the field. They gave everything they had. They're shorthanded severely. They had a chance to win. Special teams were horrendous. They got a lot of issues on special teams. Greg, Mr. Safe Ward, it's not acceptable for him never to return a punt. I mean, they get the fair catching both. There's sometimes space for him to run. I know he's not explosive.
Yeah,
I get it. He doesn't drop the ball. That's great. That's half of it. But why won't they had Rager back there for one time, but I think either the ball went out of bounds or there's something happened.
He had an ankle injury apparently in the fourth quarter because he was standing on the side with his helmet off. So I think that's why he didn't get that. Okay. I didn't either. I saw it on the internet, and it was written by Eagles Wire, so I imagine that was announced either on TV when I had it on mute or in the press box. So.
Okay, but my point is this, though. Overall, Rager's got to be back there.
Yes.
The best punt return in college football, so explosive last year. I don't understand it. The guy was a first-round pick. Get him back there. They've got to get the – now, I know Cam Johnston got hurt, so you know that you can't blame anyone for that. But the special teams overall, block punt, what I don't know what's happened to the special teams. They used to be special. They are not special anymore.
No, they're not. From the regression to the kicking game to what you saw out on the field, it seems like every week there's something new with special teams. And then they're not doing anything to fool anybody themselves, just like you saw the Cardinals pull out that. By the way, nice pass by Andy Lee.
Huh? Oh, man.
38-year-old punter throws a dime. Nice job by him right there.
That was a great call. Listen, that's a great call. I mean, when
they caught him.
They got him badly. I mean, Jesus. I'm glad you mentioned that because put that on our laundry list of issues with special teams in this game. My God, what a bad game for special teams.
There you go. All right, as we wrap this up, Christmas is this week, Adam. So if people are still looking for the ultimate stocking stuffers for this holiday, look no further because our sponsors, Manscaped, have the tools to make you win this year's stocking stuffer or white elephant competition. Manscaped's the only brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene products. And great news is that they've released their products now in Europe, Canada, and down under in Australia. Mm-hmm. All right, so you don't have to worry about any of those issues that you have in the past from male grooming. Now let's talk about some things that fit really well into a stocking for your stocking stuffer. You got the Crop Preserver, the ball deodorant that we've spoken to you about. The Crop Reviver, which is the ball toner, the spray-on toner, which comes equipped with the aloe vera and hazel extracts. Makes you feel nice down below there. The Crop Cleanser Body Wash, which is also can be used on the hair on top of your head. You've got the Crop Mop Ball Wipes. You've got the Foot Duster, foot deodorant, which will get your, you're going sitting around the holidays and you want to kick your sneakers off, then your feet won't stink too bad. They've got the Shears 2.0 Luxury 4-piece Nail Kit for all you men out there with some cuticle issues. You can take care of that. You got the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer, which has that proprietary skin-safe technology. And, of course, the best trimmer for your butt balls and body, the Lawnmower 3.0 with the replaceable ceramic blade with advanced skin-safe technology. As you know, it helps reduce those grooming accidents. And all of these formulations are vegan, cruelty-free, dye-free, sulfate-free, and paraben-free, so you know it's all legit. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with that code ITB. All right? 20% off, free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the promo code ITB and be the ballsiest gift giver this year with Manscaped. Somebody tweeted at me the other day, I had a picture of their Manscaped kit. They said They were excited to have it ordered in. It is a great stocking stuffer, or if you get the whole set, it's a nice little gift that you can give anybody in your family. Any man in your family would appreciate that. So make sure you jump on that deal right now. 20% off and free shipping is hard to come by these days, so make sure you go out and get that. All right, Adam, who would your man? I think this one, just like last week, is fairly obvious on who the Manscaped man of the game would be, right?
Dennis Gardak? No, I'm just kidding. That was the linebacker.
Jake Plummer?
No. They had this guy. I love the guy's name. This like backup linebacker, who had a sack. Dennis Gardak. Just because it's a funny name.
I saw that guy. Yeah.
Well, he had 2 sacks. He had 2 sacks in the game. I'm like, who is this guy? He's a plumber. Yeah. What is this guy? But yeah, it's got to be. It was. I said as it going in and coming out, it's DeAndre Hopkins. I love this guy.
Yeah.
He's yet another player. I don't care what his 40 time is. He's not gonna beat you with his speed. He's gonna beat you with his smarts and toughness.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually, I was reading the interview. I guess he wants to go into. He might go into scouting when he's done.
Oh, really?
That's he's just smart and tough and crafty, and what a great football player. He's done it with so many different quarterbacks in his career, and it's fun to watch. It's really fun to watch him win. And by the way, he did his contract on his own with, I guess, an advisor.
I remember that, and I guess it worked out well for him, right? I mean,
yeah,
as far as the money,
yeah.
I don't know if I recommend that for everybody.
No, I wouldn't.
Really, kind of be on your P's and you have to really know
he did
your
it on a short-term deal, and he got paid. Bill O'Brien didn't want to do it. What an awful trade Bill O'Brien made.
Man, that trade looks worse and worse by the day. Really, I mean, everybody knew the trade was awful to begin with, but it really does look worse by the day. So that's your Manscaped man of the game. You're going with DeAndre Hopkins. I had a really interesting stat on him. He I think became the 6th receiver this year to go over 120 yards receiving on the Eagles. Devontae Adams was on that list. Let's see, George Kittle was on that list, if I'm not mistaken. He's not really a receiver. Metcalf had one set. What did Metcalf have? 177?
It was up there, yeah. It was well.
I mean, this has not been a great year. So you have Kittle at 183, Metcalf at 177, Tyler Boyd at 125, Devontae Adams at 121, Chase Claypool at 110, and, of course, DeAndre Hopkins at 169. So that would be the 3rd best receiver. Imagine 169 yards not even being among the top 2 best performances against the Eagles this year. Pretty amazing, huh?
Really, it's tight ends have gotten them too. I mean, the Cardinals don't use their tight ends very much, but look, just to wrap it up, you got to be encouraged with the way Jalen Hurts played. They got 2 games left. I know the chances of getting the playoffs are very slim. They're still alive technically,
right?
But you're trying to evaluate this player. They learn a lot about these defensive players in the secondary that probably shouldn't be playing, but they're playing. And this is the best part about it, is that it sucks that the guys get hurt that are starting, but you get to evaluate the other players for next year. And that's kind of what you do from a personnel staff. You got the film, coaches have it, and they'll evaluate it for the future.
No doubt about it. By the way, I'm going to be a nice guy and just separate just for the sake of it and say that my Manscaped man of the game is going to be Jalen Hurts. 411 total yards.
He's
pretty amazing.
Just as good. Yeah,
3 touchdowns. Yes, he had the grounding, but 0 interceptions, as we mentioned. And I don't think he lost. Did he lose a fumble?
No, he had 3 fumbles, didn't lose one. That's something he's going to have to take a look at.
Yep.
Because obviously, could he always lose it? But so that's something that they're going to have to. He's had 4 fumbles in 2 games. 1 he lost. That's not good.
Right.
Wentz has had issues with fumbles for years.
Yep.
I don't quite understand why, but I guess when you're moving around a lot, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But look, as you said, though, before we get out of here, that play where he fumbled it, and he picked it up and threw. Was it to Goddard?
It was to Goddard, I believe.
Oh my God! What presence of mind! Really a beautiful play.
Unbelievable play. All right, we'll be back on Wednesday morning to give you a sourced breakdown of the All-22. We'll give our own observations of watching tape, and we'll have it all broken down from soup to nuts, as they like to say. Until then, everybody, enjoy the first part of your week and perhaps feel a little encouraged about what you saw from Jalen Hurts. That's going to do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Thanks, as always, to our producer, Hunter Brody. Check out his work on YouTube. It's called Sports Talk with Broads. Check him out on Twitter, @Broads. Inside the Birds.